This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description. Hello and welcome everyone to our 140th session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Mike Smith from Brazil Beach House, a personal luxury home and hotel agency in Brazil with over 20 years of experience in the Brazilian real estate market. Whether you're looking for a vacation home or a second home, Mike, I'm happy to have you on the show for the second time, actually. We've talked a couple of years ago, and you said you moved a little bit away from Natal in Rio Grande regarding your operational focus and are right now more in Bahia and Buenos Aires. I'm really looking forward to this exchange. I always look for many people actually from Brazil because I think it's a very opaque market and a very interesting market. So the floor is yours, and why don't you give us an overview about yourself?
Okay, Michael, thank you very much. Very happy to be back on the show. I just have to correct you, not Buenos Aires, Rio de Janeiro is the
thank you.
state, yeah.
Okay, I am right now in my head with Argentina. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. So I've been operating in the Brazilian real estate market for the past 20 years. I bought a property myself in 2004 in the northeast of Brazil on the beach, and then moved there. I was living in Japan before that, and then had a complete 180 degrees lifestyle change, moved to Brazil, bought my house on the beach in the northeast, and then set up a company, started to help other foreign people like myself come into the country, buy properties and settle into the lifestyle in Brazil. And since then, I've opened up real estate companies for investment. My companies have been involved in land banking. We've done housing construction for low-income families with the governmental programs that are still ongoing. The Brazilian government actually have built or facilitated the build of over 3 million houses for poor people in Brazil, which is an incredible thing, which has happened over the past 9 years. So I was involved with that. And then in the past 5 years, I started off in Rio Grande do Norte, which is in the northeast of Brazil. And since then, I've been expanding into different states because Brazil is a huge country, 7,400 kilometers of coastline. And some of the areas in Brazil are just spectacular. So I wanted to get involved in some of the beautiful real estate that's being offered in those states. And so that's how Brazil Beach House has expanded. We have regional partners in every state of Brazil in the best resorts. And we work very well with our partners, and we facilitate foreign buyers coming into the country and source properties for them, and then arrange for their visits. And then should they decide to buy, we help them from A to Z. So that's pretty much what we do in 2024.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You just mentioned A to Z. Give us a quick overview of the process. If I'm thinking of buying and I would like to work with you, what do I have to take into consideration, and what are the steps of the buying process?
Okay, so let's say you make contact with me, you give me your specifications on what you're looking for. I'll ask you why you're looking to buy in Brazil. What are your motives? What's your long-term objective? Are you there for relocation, for retiring? Is it an investment you're making? Do you have family in the country, et cetera, et cetera? I'll get a budget from you and then find out what kind of characteristics you're looking for in the property you want to buy. Then narrow down the options. Then send you the best options that are currently on the market. So I streamline the process. And then we narrow down on the best options that you're looking to buy. And then arrange your visitation when you come over to Brazil. Arrange your tax registration number, which you'll need. If you want to open a bank account, we can now facilitate that. And then we deal with the paperwork, the purchasing agreements. We translate everything if you need that service. And then we help with the transfer taxes that need to be paid on behalf of the buyer, transferring the money into the country if needed. And then after services, what kind of property management do you need? We normally are able to facilitate these things for you after your purchase. So it really is a full, comprehensive service that we provide for foreign buyers of properties in Brazil.
Makes total sense. Regarding the entire process, do you think that there are certain obstacles or challenges certain buyers should take into consideration? Let's say appraisal, let's say making sure that you know exactly like what you're getting, not buying blindly, knowing about legal constraints or maybe loopholes which a potential seller might want to take advantage of. What do you think are therefore also reasons to work with a local professional who knows exactly the tactics and tricks in order to, on the one hand, boost maybe the price, but on the other hand, also sell something which actually is not what it looks like?
Yeah, of course, there are always pitfalls in buying real estate in any country, and certainly no different in Brazil. So, yeah, you definitely have to watch how you have to check, have to have someone in your corner that's looking after your interests, that wants to ensure that the process is as smooth and as safe and secure as possible. So now in terms of the documentation, I bought many properties myself in Brazil and have helped hundreds of people buy properties in Brazil. So I understand the documentation that's necessary in order to transfer ownership of a property from seller to buyer. But not just me, we do have specialists in the field. If you choose to contract a lawyer, we can certainly help you with referrals there. In terms of what you need to look out for, documentation-wise, I think nearly always, unless you have special, very, how should I say? Let's just keep it simple. You need to have a public deed to the property, basically. That gives you 100% guarantees for ownership. You need to ensure that the property is lien-free in terms of its debts, that the property owner also has no pending legal issues. This can all be verified, most of it online. Some of the documentation you need to go to the courts or to the federal tax offices in person. But generally speaking, this can all be cleared up with someone who understands the process and the documentation. It's fairly straightforward. But there are certain, not loopholes, but certain things that you need to look out for that you probably wouldn't be aware of as a first-time buyer in Brazil, or even if you bought properties in the past. There are certain things that you can miss out on, and you might have to pay the price.
Makes sense. Regarding the psychographics of your buyers, who is basically mainly your target group, or not target group, but who are the ones who are contacting you the most from a certain lifestyle, maybe life situation, that you say this is actually like very, very common that people like this are reaching out to you because, as you said, they are looking for a second home, they're looking like for a third investment. What can I imagine of the people who you're working with?
Yeah, good question. I think if you look at the statistics in terms of audience for our website and for social media, probably around 50% are from the States, North America. Not so much Canada. We have some interest from Canadians. We've sold to Canadians in the past, but mostly Americans. And for a number of reasons, but I think mostly Americans who are married to a Brazilian national and have family in Brazil or have business interests in Brazil. There's some connection there before they make contact with us. And obviously the proximity of North America to South America and that cultural, I wouldn't say similarity, but there is obviously some kind of affiliation between North and South of that continent. So I would say 50% Americans, probably age group wise from 40 upwards, looking for vacation home, looking for an investment, and also looking more and more to either retire or to relocate. The reason being is I've heard from many Americans that the cost of living in America is prohibitive in terms of property taxes, health insurance, general cost of living, real estate. You can live in Brazil a lot. You can have a much better quality of life for a lot less money. There's such a big difference now in terms of that cost of living between North and South America. So that's becoming more of a motive for our clients to come down to Brazil.
If I invest
either to buy now as an investment and move, further into the future. Sorry, Mike.
No, that's fine. If I invest in Brazil, do I also is there any way to get like a permanent residency after a certain amount, and also along that social security or access to medical services, or is that then private? And if so, how expensive is that?
Yeah, okay. Well, just recently, in the last few years, Brazil, the government has introduced a kind of golden visa, whereby if you invest a million reals, which works out at less than $200,000, in a real estate asset, you can get a permanent visa. When we say permanent, it only lasts for 2 years. You have to extend it, but still.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Let's say residency visa, for 2 years, perhaps 3, and then it's automatically extended, providing there's no issues, and you'll stay in Brazil. So this is a very attractive new development for people who previously could not move to Brazil unless they opened a company, invested money in the company. That's still an option as well. Also, you can retire in Brazil, providing that you can show that you have, I think, $2,000 a month in retirement benefit, and that's sufficient for a retirement visa, which is even easier to obtain. So there's 3 ways to get into to Brazil right now.
Is there certain?
Yeah, sorry. In terms of, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, because you mentioned health insurance. And in Brazil, in practically every small town and village, there is a health clinic which is completely free. So if you have any minor incident or accident or allergy or pain or anything at all, you can be treated on the spot at this health clinic, which is a phenomenal service throughout Brazil. But if you have, anything that's a bit more serious health-wise, then you can pay for private health insurance, and it's relatively cheap compared to the likes of the US and Europe, and very high quality.
Very interesting. Regarding back to the golden visa, the 200K, do I have to put them in cash, or can I also put a loan on it? And is there a certain investment vehicle which I have to take along that, or I have to register as such a golden visa, or is it just implicit?
Yeah, the money has to come in from you physically to an account that you set up in order to buy a piece of property, or it can go directly to the seller of that property, but you can't get a loan in order to qualify for the visa. That won't be possible. And also in terms of mortgages, it's very important to state that as a foreign citizen in Brazil, you're not liable for mortgage generally because you don't have a credit rating in the country, you don't have assets, you don't have income. So for foreign buyers, pretty much it has to be a cash purchase in Brazil.
Makes sense.
Just to be clear, because sometimes people don't understand or realize that.
Now, going a little bit into your area of operation, give us an overview of Bahia. I know it's a huge state. It's like bigger than some European countries. But maybe you can, in a nutshell, give us like an overview where it's located and also what makes it so attractive.
Sure. Yeah, I was there quite recently. I did a tour of the state, and yeah, it's based in the northeast of Brazil, about a 2-hour flight from Sao Paulo, Brasilia, Belo Horizonte, and Rio. So it's quite centralized in terms of where the big populations are, and therefore it's always been a major destination for the domestic tourism market. You know, Brazil has a population of 210 million people, so that's a lot of tourists for the most spectacular coastlines of Brazil. So it has a very developed infrastructure for tourism. It's very large with a long coastline, and it has the best real estate on the beaches of Brazil. I would say Bahia and Rio and probably around Florianopolis, Sao Paulo. But Bahia has a tropical climate all year round, spectacular beaches, really laid back type of lifestyle. And the hot spots, you have the capital, Salvador, which is a very colorful, tropical African type of flavor as a city. And then on the north coast, you have Praia do Forte, which is a beautiful beach resort with lovely condominiums, big on surfing. It's only an hour and a half from Salvador. And then as you go up the coastline, it gets a bit more deserted, but still very beautiful. And there are other areas like Sauípe, which has a golf resort there, lots of nice houses, big development. And then on the south coast, you have beautiful tropical islands like Boipeba, which is absolute paradise. No cars. It's like stepping back in time. Beautiful rustic architecture, houses, very chilled environment. And then you have Barra Grande, Marau, similar style, all about boating. It's like an island in Thailand. It's just really tropical and same kind of vibe, you know. It's just amazing place, amazing. And then you have Itacaré, which is huge for surfing internationally, really Bahian flavor, lots of reggae parties, and amazing beaches. And the real estate there is second to none. I mean, spectacular houses in just idyllic locations. What you expect of Brazil in a tropical sense is there 100%. So further south, you have Trancoso, which is the hotspot, which attracts the rich and famous. Lots of celebrities go there, and that's got the highest end properties, and we have a large portfolio there as well. And then further south, it's less developed, but up and coming. So there are, I would say, 5 or 6 really special places where real estate is extremely attractive and generally affordable for that level of luxury.
What can I imagine when you say affordable? How much would I have to have in my bank, in my savings, in order to even be ready to reach out to you?
Well, it really depends on what you're looking for. When I'm talking about these locations, this is the high end. So this is the luxury segment of the real estate market in Brazil. You get a lot for your money, but it doesn't come cheap. It's, for example, in Itacaré, we have properties on a hillside with tropical background, overlooking an incredible beach. This is a gated community, around 75 houses, all with spectacular ocean views, luxury standard builds, two private beaches, effectively, with access, with a beach club, and these properties are selling for around $800,000 upwards. But if you have that kind of budget and you're looking at Brazil, I would recommend Itacaré as the place to go. No question. One of the places.
Perfect. You say that with a smile. You definitely convinced me.
Oh, definitely.
Talking a bit about something negative. Crime. There's always this topic about Brazil being criminal, and it is definitely a topic, especially in the big cities. How was your perception now being in Bahia and also doing this tour? I mean, obviously, maybe you're isolated and stuff. I just can give you my 2 cents from Colombia. Cities are always quite much more dangerous, and then on the countryside, it is actually quite chilled and quite decent, very decent. Actually, there's almost nothing happening. How is that in Brazil?
I was going to say, you just wiped the smile off my face.
Yeah, I like polarity.
In terms of negativity, but no, from my trip in Bahia and elsewhere, as you said, the cities in Colombia, or I think Colombia and Brazil are very similar in many ways. It feels a little bit sketchy, when you're on the streets, walking around. Very vibrant, colorful locations, lots of noise, very hectic. But definitely there's a sense that this is slightly chaotic, and slightly, uncomfortable perhaps for people that go there for the first time. But I mean, essentially, I've lived in Brazil for over 15 years, and it looks rough from, a street side perspective, but it's very unlikely that anything bad's going to happen to you. Very unlikely. So that's my take on it. You do have to obviously watch out. You have to have a little bit of a streetwise sensibility, and not be showing valuables, and not be dawdling. Walk with a purpose. Know where you're going. Don't kind of look too nervous if you can at all help it, because that obviously it's not good for anyone, is it? So I think on the whole, Brazil does have a very bad reputation for violence and crime. Some of it's justified, but it's very concentrated. And in the areas that I'm discussing with you, there's a strong security presence, because tourism is extremely important to these locations. So they are not able to allow criminals to come in and start causing trouble, because it's too damaging for their industry. So that alone creates an extra layer of safety in these locations. And the same applies to Rio de Janeiro.
Absolutely. Mike, I've learned a lot in this few minutes, actually. You gave us a very nice overview about your services, about the state of the Brazilian market right now, also the buying process and where to buy, and also who buys. And you actually also introduced to me the Golden Visa program, which I was not even aware of. Finally, you gave us a very good overview of Itacaré as definitely like your favorite destination. I have one more question regarding the next years, what you see as happening in the Brazilian real estate market. How do you see it to evolve?
Good question. That's a big question. I wasn't quite prepared for that one, but let me think. Brazil is the 8th biggest economy in the world. Its population, 50% of its population is under 20. So it's a very young and it's a very dynamic country. The adaptation of technology, online services, and creativity is immense. And it's one of the fastest growing countries in the world for gaming, for online services, for everything is fast-paced, creative, and dynamic. And the country is wide open for new business, new development, and foreign investment as well. So on that basis, there's only really one way that Brazil can go, and it can only grow. It has a stable foundation in terms of its federal government. The federal government is very, very stable and very efficient and professional in terms of how it operates the country as a whole. The difficulty with Brazil is at the state and municipal level to some extent, which is not so efficient, which is based more on patronage and personal connections and not so systemized. It's more, down to personal connections, and that sometimes creates inefficiencies and corruption. So that is something that needs to be kind of addressed in the long term. But Brazil is wholeheartedly adapting to renewable energies and to modern day technology, and its real estate market is no different. I mean, just recently it was announced that the tallest residential building in the world will be built close to Florianopolis. So there's a lot of ambition in terms of the real estate market. There's a lot of new kind of branded developments that are coming into the cities. There's a lot of money in the country, and there's a big desire for new quality leisure real estate, which incorporates wellness, which incorporates water sports. The Brazilians are always looking forward to improve their quality of experience. So that leads to a lot of innovation in the real estate market.
Perfect. Mike, thank you so much for all your insights. I really appreciate your time. I will keep the show notes I will keep your contact information in the show notes. Any final thoughts, any final points you would like to share with the audience, which we haven't discussed today? Do you have anything?
I think Brazil is a country that's very much overlooked worldwide. They know something about the country. They maybe think that there's something exotic or exciting about Brazilian culture, but they haven't yet managed to go. I think that's the biggest thing. You need to go to Brazil, because once you go once, you're always going to go back. You're always going to say good things about it. So to be more aware I think Brazil needs to do a better job selling itself, because it's a magical place, and it's a very, very great place to invest money if you're looking to buy in an exotic, warm, vibrant location. In terms of the currency as well, it's at a record low. It's 6.1 to the euro and 5.6 to the dollar today. So in terms of hard currency, it's a really, really good time to buy real estate in Brazil, no question. And there's so much on offer. There's so many beautiful places.
Mike, I really appreciate the conversation. Really insightful, very, very, very nice, very Very good. I like it. I'm sending the best regards to you, and yeah, hopefully we see each other also in person. And I always appreciate talking to you, and we should schedule that one for maybe a couple of months from now, so that you get a
Sure.
date. Absolutely.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Sending you a big hug. Have a good day. Thank you.
Likewise. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.